Hello and welcome to the best mods for Anno 117. I've got some awesome mods to show you, and they're only going to get much better from here. And for sure, we have a huge range of cheat mods available, pretty much covering any kind of change or cheat that you need. However, we'll be focusing less on cheat mods and just on some of the mods that are great quality of life or add some new features, as well as some of the most popular mods. But we're covering pretty much the top 10-15 best mods for Anno at this moment. Let me know what you think about these mods in the comment, and if I've missed any, and we'll be continuing this series. So come along for the journey, consider liking, subscribing if you got anything out of this, but let's go. Best mods for Anno 117 as it stands. Kicking us off with a completely new building integrated seamlessly. The Circus Minimus introduces a massive new public marvel. The very same building we would always see on Valeria's Island, the Free Trader. The racetrack building isn't just an amazing ornament centerpiece, it fundamentally alters the game's balance between your social classes, economy, and a huge focus on city planning, as this building is no joke. 31 tiles by 13, which makes it longer than the amphitheater, and also requiring extremely flat surface, which makes perfect sense. So you won't be able to place this on anything elevated. It will always have to sit on some of the prime real estate on your island, which introduces its own challenge when trying to integrate this into your build. But once constructed, it provides powerful sets of benefits to your tier 3 and tier 4 residents, but at a huge cost. The construction costs are no joke, costing 80,000 coin, 15 tiles, cement, horses, 25 marble blocks, and 25 wood. Plus, you will need an aqueduct for this building to fully function. But what gets crazy is the area of effect. Income -4, happiness +6, which is huge, and is also one of the harder attributes to combat later with the higher population tiers. So this could be a really interesting way to help balance that out, and a -2 health with the maintenance cost of 25 tier 2 residents and 50 tier 1. The building is only unlocked at the end of tier 3, however, making it the final destination before you get into your tier 4 patrician residents. But fulfilling this need grants a huge +3 population, +4 income, and +6 prestige, which will mean the area of effect income of -4 will be heavily negated by the +4 that you get for fulfilling the need, but that +3 population and +6 prestige is huge. Your tier 4 patricians also have this public service building as a need, which means it also provides the benefits at tier 4. But this is an incredibly cool mod that is pretty much the first mod adding a whole new building which has layers of complexity, thought, and strategy around it. The model is gorgeous and lore accurate, and the simple reuse of existing asset make it fit perfectly into the game. What would be friggin' awesome is if you could run games like you can on the amphitheater, but on this structure, providing a set of stackable bonuses and functioning very similar to the amphitheater. However, as it stands now, it is just a very potent public service building to implement, and definitely makes the cut for one of the best mods currently out for Anno 117. This crazy mod will turn any Anno 117 game into the Total War series, with the addition of hundreds of additional troops, making the wars feel obscenely massive and on a large scale. This is called Total War Increase Land Unit Size ×3, which allows players to have bigger, more cinematic battles, as it delivers tripling sizes of all land-based military forces, including cavalry, chariots, raiders, and even siege equipment. Here we can see we have the auxiliary spearmen, and they have a platoon size of 132. Same again for your legionnaires. And then here you can see we have the scorpions with 18. So many more scorpions. Now this is obviously going to change the balancing a bit, and it also means your enemies are going to be landing on your shores with the same amount of troop increase, but it does make for these epic battles. So it does attempt to adjust formations to account for the new unit sizes. Formation boxes adjust to match expanded troop. No change to the recruitment cost or the workforce. So basically you're getting more troop for free or for no extra charge, as it's no change to the cost, whether it be to the upkeep or the initial cost. But other than the current issue around performance with some of the bugs that are getting fixed, this is a fantastic mod to consider if you really want to experience the Total War kind of craziness, particularly when versing the Emperor, because just look at this. This is crazy. Look how many cannon ports. Absolute mayhem. But a really fun mod that I've been enjoying, something to consider if your PC will allow it. Should be all good once we get some performance fixes in, but a cool way to turn Anno 117 into Total War. Another absolute classic mod is the zoom out and further. This allows you to completely zoom out of the entire map, and you can pretty much see everything. You will need to go into your options and make sure the extended camera is turned on. And by doing that, it will allow you to zoom into the street level as well as zoom out pretty much to the maximum height you possibly can. Another one of those staple mods that just make the game so much more easier to navigate. But a fantastic mod letting you experience Anno 117 from new heights. Menu improves the game is a friggin' cool UI mod that I've been using. It's a UI mod that helps with construction and also city and resource management. For instance, when I click on roads, I'll see the dirt road, paved road, and even the marble road. These will be locked if you haven't researched them, but it makes it much easier to access all the different roads. It also puts down the bottom here all the resources, so I can see exactly how much resource I have. And not to mention, if you want to construct something, you can cycle through and then click on one of the resources to start building the production chain for that particular resource. Would be cool if we could get a little bit bigger of a sliding bar down here and push the menu up a little bit, but that's just one thing for me. But I find this mod really, really helpful, as it does give me a comprehensive centralized overview that I can access of all the different resources and where they're up to. And just that simple change of moving the roads into one menu, very handy. Here we have an absolute classic increased harbor area, which, just like in Anno 1800, this mod will allow you to build ridiculously far away from the shoreline, pretty much doubling the amount. You pretty much can build maybe out to here, maybe a bit further without the mod, and then with the mod, pushing the buildable area out to a massive range, but also not too crazy. But if you're after a mod that will expand your harbor, giving you a whole new range of flexibility in terms of how you construct it, particularly for cosmetic reasons or even strategical depth, making a maze of a harbor, this is a mod for you and will be a staple for many, many mod lists to come. Now, upon installing this mod, you will have the extra large harbor from the very get-go, so no research will be required. However, in its place, we will have some research that will add island storage as well as increase loading speed. The mod says it is not a save game compatible. It highly recommends to start a new game. I threw this on an existing game, didn't have too many issues, but definitely make up some backup saves before you try. And the recommendation is use this on a new save. But a glorious mod, adding a huge amount of space for your harbor. No more you can find and have complete flexibility. When it comes to customizing your profile, you are pretty limited in terms of portrait, but the two mods we want to have a look at is custom player colors mod. This is a fantastic mod that will allow you to select the color of your banner. Now, if you couple this mod by the logos more 65 by Mad Max, you end up with a huge variety and customization options for your profile, at least in terms of the banner and the color. Keep in mind, the new update will fix banner icons and symbols not showing, so this will be even more valid soon. But the logos mod adds 65 new additional logos, and they're fantastic. So some good extra customization here, particularly allowing us to select an extra color. Cool thing is these mods also work with the randomized option, selecting a variety of all the different banners and colors available along with the portrait. Cool customization. Let's keep moving. Then this is the Roman and Celtic tile set, adding 7 new tiles, and these tiles look glorious. Here we have the 3 Roman new tile sets, excellent patterns, nice and bright, and then the 4 Celtic versions, and these will sit perfectly well within your Celtic builds. But very nice to see some new tile sets, just adding a little extra variety and building on some of these other amazing tiles. And of course, you will be able to build all the various structures on top of these tiles, which is awesome. But obviously buildings won't take on the tiles underneath. We do have another option, and this is the additional flagstone mod, which is another decorative mod that expands the visual customization of your city by adding 5 new ground tiles. These are all built from reworked in-game textures, noting that there is the dynamic versions of the 5 ground patterns and then just the tiled version or the ground pattern. So the main difference between the dynamic and the tiled version, the tile version is for precision. This is exactly the tile size, and you'll have these very sharp square edges. Dynamic, these will have some nice overlap and sort of blending and have a more organic, natural sort of look of a paver, but there may be some visual mismatches. But think hand-laid stone for your dynamic and your tiled for those precision layouts where you need very square. But it's cool that it's got both dynamic and then a more natural but harder to align dynamic version. So some cool options for some different tiles. You can build over these as well. One day, hopefully, we can get it so the buildings take the textures that are under them, but that's probably a crazy thing to implement. But some good options to really make decorating a little bit different. Let's keep moving. This next mod is not going to be for everyone, but I certainly found it very helpful, and that is the blue blueprints. Very simple mod. It's just going to change all your blueprints to blue. I find these visually striking, and if I'm scouting over a map, I can clearly see straight away, particularly with the Liberty residents, which tend to blend in a bit more with the blueprints. Well, you won't find that issue anymore as the blue is just so striking. You can kind of change some of these blueprint colors, I think, using the colorblind option, but I didn't really get one that I liked. But the colorblind option also impacts the color of the roads when you're using the area of effect, or road range, I should say. But some cool options there, which also leads me to the next very helpful mod, at least for me, and that is the blue map water. This is a very simple mod that gives you 12 different options or color schemes for your ocean in Latium and Albion. And for me, I always had problems identifying the icons on the map due to the colors, but now it's very distinct and clear to me. And even on the world map, we'll have a change of coloration, just making it very striking and easy to see. So two good mods that just help things pop out a little bit where you need them to. Here is a mod not for everyone, but it's called low province transfer speed, and this is going to drastically shorten the trip it takes for your ship to travel between the regions, making it very, very quick. Now, some might note that it is very, very quick at the moment. There may be in the future different versions of speed, but you can change it yourself very easily by just changing a couple of the figures in the mod. But at the moment, it is currently 10 times faster than normal, making it breakback speeds between your regions. Great for those that want a bit more faster paced gameplay and trade between the various regions. Two visual mods that I've been using. One of them is called Ambient Clear View. This removes clouds and distance fade from Latium and Albion. And as someone who takes a lot of screenshots, this is perfect because you won't get any of that shadowing cloud effect that is constantly disrupting the visuals. If you're really into screenshots or getting some nice pictures of your city, you can now have the option to remove those clouds and just have beautiful clear views all the time. And just to show the no clouds mod, this is probably the best way to show you, is when you fully zoomed out, you won't see the cloud. The other visual tweak is the Ambient Roman tweak. This is a simple mod that you will just change the watercolor to a darker blue. So it goes from sort of looking like this bluish color to a much more pronounced, more realistic kind of blue color, I guess. But do note you cannot use the two Ambient Roman tweaks mod together. You do have to pick one or the other. Two excellent mods for visuals, I find, in terms of taking screenshots and just giving you that very clean look all the time. Another really, really awesome mod, which will turn these very generic looking tree configuration for your ornaments from these straight looking rows, which are perfect in some scenarios, to something much more visually natural appearing, and that is TeaTime's natural forest mod, where we can create realistic looking forest as it disperses them all much more randomly. So if we upgrade these, check this out, pretty much produces a forest, and you have that option for the Celtic forest as well, which adds these beautifully detailed and natural looking forests. It will save you tons of times, and instead of you trying to make a forest look more natural when you're trying to build your own forest, well, now you can just simply do it at a few clicks of a button. Really nice to see this kind of functionality. And speaking of trees, we have the Celtic Lumberjack trees. This will replace all the trees at your woodcutter in the Celtic region, so your Albion region, and it replaces it with 61 of the authentic Celtic tree variations, the ash, elm, birches, and many others, and sets the planting chance to 100% full fertility for the varied forest. The new trees will only appear after the Hall of Fame Discovery Woodland Rebirth is unlocked, which I think is in your T4 Hall of Fame unlock, so you will need that in conjunction with this mod to be able to see all the trees, places built in anywhere, and see those trees, I should say. But a really cool way to spice up your woodcutters with all the variations of trees in your Celtic region. Now this mod is about to become obsolete, but I still wanted to include it because it was just so freaking helpful, and that is the tiles under public service buildings and tiles under shrine. These two mods will allow you to place all the various ground tiles, and when you place the shrine, you won't get this really annoying replacement of tiles. But the tiles under public service and shrines mod were essential mods, but now this will be integrated into the game. Hopefully they expand on it further and get the blending of whatever of the textures underneath to blend through some sort of mechanism to give us an option to have all the various textures displayed right up to the building edges. But hey, we'll see where that goes. donkey mill in Latium. Simply just adds the donkey mill into your bakery or your bread production chain menu. So it's simply taking the donkey mill from Albion and allowing you to build it. Doesn't change anything else. So all the same cost, production speeds, everything is exactly as it is in Albion. It will just change the workforce requirements to your Liberty. And this can be an awesome mod, particularly if you've run out of river slots for your grain mill or you need them for gold or something. Well, now you could install this mod and still get tons of grain using the donkey mill. Now this next mod is pretty much a must, I think, for everyone, and it's for a few key reasons. The mod's called Cheat Keybinds by Serp, who makes this a particularly helpful utility mod that will grant you pretty much all the most robust cheats that you need. Ships build almost instantly, building costs are ignored, gives you 100k coins, instant research, you name it, it's pretty much got it. But the big thing that I want to show you and why I recommend it to everyone, regardless if you want to use cheats or not, is for this function and this function alone. Now it's incredibly helpful, and mainly because of this feature where I've installed a new mod called Sheep Cheese, which we'll cover. But if I hit F11, you'll notice that the research tree will update with the mod while I'm in game. You can see it change right there in front of us. It's added the upgrade for the new mod right when we're live in the game. And that's why this mod is so incredibly useful, and I recommend everyone to get it just for that function alone. You can install a lot of mods on the fly. Some will cause the game to crash, so it won't work for all of them. But generally, and in most cases, I've had no issues throwing mods in and out and loading them while I'm in game. So there's this really cool mod called Cheese from Sheep, and it's going to add a new research item that you have to get reasonably far into the game, which upon upgrading, it's going to give you additional 1 ton of cheese every 4 cycles, which for this production building is 30 seconds. So we'll grab this research item and we go to the hats, build the sheep farm. The processing time is 30 seconds. So every 2 minutes, we will get 1 ton of cheese produced from our sheep farm. I think this is a fantastic idea. Cheese normally has to come from Albion, but it makes perfect sense that we can make goat cheese or sheep cheese even. And 1 ton every 2 minutes would mean you'd need quite a few of these if you really wanted to produce a lot of it. So a cool way to balance it out. But a nice little mod adding cheese into your production of Albion without making it too overpowered. Another neat little addition, which I think is very helpful, that is the Harbor Officium mod, which is very simple. It's just going to allow us to build the Officium, or the smaller version of your governor villa building, on your harbor, which is going to be fantastic, especially when you couple it with the mod that expands your harbor, which we've covered. So you would be able to place it right in the middle of your harbor and then apply specialists to boost production chains, ship production, all the various harbor buildings. There's various boosts and specialists that will boost them. So you could certainly consider this as a good mod, as generally it's very inconvenient to be using this building and having it impact a great portion of your harbor, just because the size and shape of it makes a lot of sense to me to be able to build them in your harbor. But a cool little mod adding that functionality, getting more use out of your specialists for your harbor. Another really nice handy mod that I really enjoy is the increased animal pasture range, which just allows us to no longer be confined to a really tight building space for all our farms. This is going to be perfect for players that are really looking to have unique and fluent designs within their islands, but it also just adds a lot of practicality, as it just gives so much more options for implementing some of the farm animal buildings into more natural layouts. So to give you an idea of the range, it's massive. So if you really wanted to, you could drop them all across this range and they'd still be functional, and particularly very useful when you start scaling this up and you would to have a production chain with lots and lots of pig farms or animal farms required. Well, then you could have layouts that would be much more conducive to sticking this whole area just totally compact with pig farms, if that makes sense. As once you'd fill up this area here, you'd be able to place another pig farm, let's just say all the way over here, and vice versa. So just a lot of flexibility. I think it's a really cool mod to get over that little bit of annoying build restriction. I'll just quickly show you some of the most downloaded and popular mods that we haven't already covered. And coming in at number 1 with the most downloads is your increased public service range. This will increase the effective range of all public service buildings to 50. So that's your marketplaces, your taverns, grammaticus, and you get the picture. It goes on. All your public service buildings, theaters, you name it. But to give you an example of how much of a difference it makes, we'll use the grammaticus, which already has quite reasonable range. So as an example, this is the grammaticus without the mod installed, and this is it with the mod installed. So it might not look like a lot, but that is a significant increase, particularly with how this road is laid out. But ultimately, the goal for this mod is just to make your layouts for your island, your buildings, your cities, much more flexible when it comes to getting that extra reach to your public service buildings. But yeah, at the moment, this is one of the most downloaded mods. The next most downloaded mod, which I understand is the specialist effects from Villa Officium, is island wide. So you can see here, we have this very tight circle that we're working around. Then we would add our specialist, and this will just impact these buildings within this radius. Well, with this mod installed, we'll see the radius change from this tight circle to be completely removed, as it's now applying to the whole island, making your specialist dramatically more important and providing insane amounts of boost island-wide. That is the second most downloaded mod. Now, another top 5 most popular mod or downloaded mod is the Immersive Flagship mod. This will transform your humble and proud flagship into your mighty tier 3 warship, your Queen Quirine, and it adds a bunch of new text to research that will boost its hits points, its cargo speed, movement speed, and also add some much needed accuracy to your scorpions, making it a much more versatile and worthwhile vessel. But a really nice immersive way to upgrade your flagship Trieme all the way to your tier 3, ultimately being stronger than any other ship within the game, and also have 8 cargo holds, but it's not completely overpowered. But a really cool mod introducing Immersive Flagship. Another very popular mod is the Population Density mod, where you have the option to select 2 times, 4 times, 6 times, 8 times, and what that will do is, see how I have crazy amount of population? Well, this is with the mod on, and then watch the population drop as I turn the mod off, and boom, look at that huge drop. So it is great for testing, but also if you just want to muck around and have huge armies or ridiculous population tiers. The mod comes with workforce and consumption and a few other options, but this is a really great mod for testing or just if you want to muck around and have huge armies. This mod's a bit hard to show you, but it is one you absolutely have to include, and that is the intro removed. This is just a really neat little mod that is going to give you back probably hours of your life over the duration of playing Anno 1.17 over the next however many years, as it just skips all the intro stuff at the beginning. So it removes the Ubisoft logo and shortens the epilepsy warning and autosave notice, but pretty much you just click on it and boom, you're in the game.